आता स्टार्ट झालं.
Let us start.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
A very good morning, friends. I welcome you all at SRTMU and LIS PhD Research Scholar Forum, session number 6. I am here to introduce today's chief guest and the resource person of this SRTMU and LIS Research Scholar online lecture series. The chief guest of this session is Honorable Dr. Deepak Bachewar, sir. He is well known for his cooperative nature and dashing personality. He is Associate Professor at Vasantrao Naik College, Vasarani, Nanded, Associate Dean and Honorable Management Council Member of SRTMU University, Nanded. 10 students awarded PhD and 7 are working under his able guidance. He has published number of papers in reputed journals as well as national international conferences. He chaired many sessions in national and international conferences. He is associated with Nanded District TT Badminton, Kho-Kho, Yoga Association and Teachers Association. He chaired many sessions. Resource person of this today is young, dynamic as well as very known LIS teacher Dr. Sarika Sawant. She is assistant professor in SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. She has completed her BSc in microbiology and MSc in biochemistry from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. She did BLIS from Shivaji University and MLIS from SNDT Women's University. She qualified NET and awarded PhD in LIS. She is a member of Board of Studies and other many committees. 7 students are pursuing their PhD under her able guidance. She has published several research papers in national and international journals. She had completed 3 research projects. She has received many awards and honors, which includes prestigious academic research libraries, attendance grant award on behalf of Asia Pacific to participate in International Federation Library Association Conference, IFLA, topmost library science conference, which was held at Columbus, Ohio, USA during August 13 to 19, 2016. Her academic achievements include an editorial board of International Peer-Reviewed Open Access Journal, in past editorial board member of Journal International Information and Library Review and the Journal of Academic Librarianship. Edited 1 special issue of the journal Knowledge Librarian, 2 conference proceedings, 2 books, 1 collaborative book project, Learning from the BRICS, Open Access to Scientific Information in Emerging Countries. 40 papers published in edited books, seminar, conferences, proceedings. Number of consultancy and research projects undertaken, but not one monetary term. Deposited preprints, prints of more than 47 journals, articles, conference papers, posters with a due permission from a publisher in Open Access LIS repository. Archived 45 presentations in SlideShare, which has more than 1,35,000 views. A great work. For research papers received 225 citations, H-index is 7 as per the Google Scholar. Invited as a resource person to deliver lectures in webinar, orientation programs, seminars, and more. She actively promotes LIS course program among the college students through writing blogs on the public forum, share presentation, YouTube videos, etc. A warm welcome to you, ma'am and sir. Now I request Dr. Jagdish Kulkarni, Director of KRC, Swami Ramananda Tirtha Marathwada University, Nanded. Sir, please welcome our today's chief guest, Dr. Deepak Bachewar, and also our resource person, Dr. Sarika Sawant, ma'am. Please, sir. Hello, Kulkarni sir. Hello. I think so. Wait just a minute.
Yes.
Kulkarni sir.
Yeah. Good morning, one and all. Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded, Library and Information Science Research Scholar Forum is organizing a lecture series on research methodology and related topics. This is the 6th day. Today we have Honorable Dr. Bachewar sir, who is Associate Dean of Faculty of Interdisciplinary Studies with us. He is a chief guest. I welcome him to this program, and we expect his guidance for this program. He is a person, I can say he is a dashing person, and he always supports us. He supports our library, that is Knowledge Resource Center, as well as he supports all the library and information science research scholars for any difficulty. So he is a dynamic leader. He was a principal of college. He is a honorable management council member. He was a senate member, and so many things he has. He is on so many committees of Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University as well as other universities in Maharashtra. So I welcome him to this program, and I request him guide us on this occasion. I again welcome today's resource person, Dr. Sarika Sawant Madam. She is working as an assistant professor in SNDT Women's University. She is a very active teacher. I always see her messages as well as her work. Her students works for research student works on many topics, and what I observed, she gives recent topics to her students. So I also welcome Dr. Sarika Sawant Madam and request Honorable Bachewar sir to guide us. मी बच्चेवार सरांना विनंती करतो की कृपया आपण आम्हाला थोडंसं मार्गदर्शन करावं या कार्यक्रमाच्या अनुषंगाने. आदरणीय बच्चेवार सर.
नमस्कार. स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ मराठवाडा विद्यापीठ नांदेड, LIS PhD स्कॉलर फोरम यांच्या वतीनं आयोजित आजच्या या PhDच्या स्कॉलर विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी मार्गदर्शन ठरणाऱ्या कार्यशाळेच्या 6व्या दिवशीच्या प्रमुख वक्त्या आदरणीय डॉक्टर सारिका सावंत मॅडम, या फोरमचे आयोजक डॉक्टर कुलकर्णी सर, त्यांचे सहकारी प्रीतम मॅडम, दुर्गा मॅडम व या कार्यक्रमाला सहभागी असणारे सर्व ग्रंथपाल, PhDचे विद्यार्थी, या सगळ्यांना या कार्यक्रमामध्ये आपण सहभागी झालात याबद्दल शुभेच्छा देतो. मित्रांनो, सध्याच्या या संकटाच्या काळामध्ये जगावर आलेलं संकट आहे. 5000 किलोमीटर पासून आपल्या घरापर्यंत आलेलं संकट, या संकटानं आपल्या सगळ्यांना आपल्या घरामध्ये बंदिस्त करून ठेवलं. मागच्या 1.5-2 महिन्यापासून सगळे मनोरंजनाचे साधन आपल्याकडचे संपलेले आहेत. हा रोग, हे संकट इतकं भयानक आहे की आपलाच हात आपल्या चेहऱ्यावर पण हे लावू देत नाही. म्हणजे किती भयंकर आहे याचा विचार करा. आणि या सगळ्या संपलेल्या याच्यामध्ये आता काय करावं असं प्रत्येकाला वाटत होतं. आणि याच काळामध्ये स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ मराठवाडा विद्यापीठ LIS PhD स्कॉलर फोरमनी आपल्यासाठी ही अतिशय सुरेख अशी संधी उपलब्ध करून दिलेली आहे. PhD करत असताना मागच्या काळामध्ये फार सोपं होतं, पण जसा जसा काळ बदलत गेला तसं तसं त्याला कोर्सवर्क आलं, त्याचं एक फ्रेम आलं आणि त्या फ्रेम मध्येच ती PhD करावी लागते. आणि अशा या PhD करत असताना प्रत्येकाला रजिस्ट्रेशन केल्यानंतर, आपल्या गाईडकडे गेल्यानंतर प्रत्येक जण असंच म्हणत असतो की सर मी 3 वर्षात कंप्लीट करतो, मी 4 वर्षात कंप्लीट करतो. पण 1 वर्ष तर जवळपास त्याला काही कळतच नाही. आणि या कळत नसणाऱ्याच्या ह्याच्यामध्ये विद्यार्थी एकीकडं, गाईड एकीकडं, अशा परिस्थितीमध्ये रिसर्च कसा करावा हा फार मोठा प्रश्न प्रत्येकाच्या समोर असतो. अशा या प्रश्नाचं उत्तर म्हणून आदरणीय कुलकर्णी सर व त्यांच्या सर्व सहकार्यांनी आपल्यासाठी ही अतिशय सुवर्ण संधी उपलब्ध करून दिलेली आहे. PhDच्या रजिस्ट्रेशन पासून, थिसिस लिहिण्यापासून, PhD अवॉर्ड होईपर्यंत, 6 महिन्याचे रिपोर्ट सबमिट करण्यापर्यंत आपल्याला काय काय करावं लागतं आणि कशा पद्धतीनं आपलं थिसिस, आपलं रिसर्च कंप्लीट करावा, यासाठी आदरणीय कुलकर्णी सरांनी व त्यांच्या सहकार्यांनी आपल्यासाठी फार मोठी संधी उपलब्ध करून दिलेली आहे. मी त्यांचे अभिनंदन करतो, कौतुक करतो व धन्यवाद देतो की अशा पद्धतीचा कार्यक्रम नांदेड सारख्या एका नवीन विद्यापीठामध्ये आपण चालवला. खरंच आपण कौतुकास्पद आहात. आपल्याला माननीय कुलगुरू, माननीय प्रकुलगुरू व विद्यापीठ प्रशासनाने या सगळ्या गोष्टीसाठी मान्यता दिली, याबद्दल त्यांचे आभार व्यक्त करतो. परत एकदा आपल्या सगळ्यांना या आजच्या या रिसर्च सेशन, सॅम्पलिंग, टीचिंग टेक्निकच्या सेशनला शुभेच्छा देतो आणि थांबतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र. नमस्कार.
Thank you, sir. Pritam madam, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Now you request.
Hello, sir. So
Yeah.
now you welcome our resource person, Dr. Sawant ma'am. Please
Yes.
welcome.
Okay. I welcome Honorable Dr. Sawant madam and request her to enlighten us through his lecture. Good morning, madam. Please.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. I just want to know that what medium of instructions I am supposed to follow. Is it Marathi or Hindi or English?
Marathi and Hindi, madam. Oh, sorry, Marathi and English. English and Marathi.
Okay, fine, fine. And most of the students are from English library science background, and what other backgrounds? That I just want to know.
Around 80% are from library science background. 20% are from other subjects.
So which are those subjects?
Some are from languages, some are from social sciences.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I don't need to share my screen right now because I just want to give some little bit of overview just in 2-3 minutes, and then we will start our slides. Okay, is it okay to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we are here to study about sampling, isn't it? So what is the normal procedure in the university, that we go to the guide and then we convince a guide that I want to do the PhD under your guidance, and then the procedure official procedure starts, and then the guide tells you that you come with the topic, and after coming with the topic, then he will simultaneously both will end up with one particular topic, and then they start exploring that topic. Okay, first step is literature review that we usually do, and after literature review, then we try to find out whether this particular project or a research has been undertaken by any other university or not. If it is not taken, then it is advisable or recommendable to have that topic, or we get a green signal. Okay, so when we decide all these procedures, then in this meantime, we have a rapport with our researcher. We come to know about all the technicalities in the PhD admissions and everything. Okay, and then we start thinking, okay, now my topic is fixed, and now I have to come with my sampling. Okay, which is a very, very crucial stage of your PhD. Please don't ignore this stage, because if you miss or if you do not come with your good sampling, then your entire findings or inferences will not be valid. Okay, so this is really, really crucial phase. So you take your own time. You do not be in a hurry to come with your sampling. Just take your nice time, think about your sample, your population, and then you go ahead with your topic. Of course, DRC and RRC will be there with you to help you in narrowing down your topic, helping you to give the guidelines regarding your sample, review of literature, recommendations regarding your proposal enhancement and all. That's a different story. Okay, but basically sampling is a very important stage, as your topic is important. Okay, so topic is important, first thing. Second is sampling is important. So in sampling, first we need to address why we need a sampling. Okay, why? A major reason studying sample is that whole group is or a whole group is so large that studying entire group is not feasible at all. Okay, so suppose if you are going to study all the college students of India, is it possible? No, because it is if you considered in a terms of money, time and energy, which is simply not possible, even though their records may be available online, because now most of the colleges, 90% colleges have gone for automation. If you consider the urban area, I don't know about the rural area, but after because of this automation, you may get the records of all college students. Hello, someone wants to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Someone wants to say something?
No, ma'am. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Fine. Okay. So even though records are available, the records may not be exhaustive, may not be accurate, and it will be definitely a time consuming. So a whole population you cannot simply study because of your constraints. Okay. So you have to follow a sampling technique, a frame. On that basis, you can go ahead with your study. Okay. The characteristic of sampling is representativeness. Okay, representativeness means what? Means it should have some quality, na? What sample you will be studying. For example, if I want to study the what is the impact of violence on the children who watch the television. Okay, there are so many violent movies, even violent scenes are there in the TV serials. So what is their impact on the children? So the children has to be there has to be some representativeness. Representative in the sense, the children has to be from one particular age limit like 5 to 15, or children's from the urban area or the rural area, or children's which are going to the school and then they are going to the particular school like SSC board, municipal schools, or ICSE board or international school. So what is that you are going to study? So there is such a vast parameters available for your study that it makes it highly impossible to study the entire population. So that is why you have to choose a sample which should be representative. Again, it representativeness as compared with your topic. Okay, what is the topic in your mind? So accordingly, you have to have that sample representative. So what qualities, what are the elements, what are the set of elements that you are looking for in your sample that you have to choose? Means again, it depending on the researchers. Every researcher's research problem is different. So we cannot say, I cannot say, okay, in this particular scenario, I said these are the representative guidelines. But in other researchers' scenario, these representative guidelines may not be same. So again, representative sample has to be there. It has to be there has to be some purpose of sampling. Okay, the process of drawing a subset of people from a population so that results with that subset may be generalized to the population. So suppose if you are same, we'll take the one example and we'll go ahead. I have many of example which I will tell you how we can use the same example from a different sampling. Okay, so let me how to see this example like violence which is shown in the television, how it matters to the children. So in this particular scenario, if suppose the students are not going to the schools, they are just homeless or maybe people, children from the slum area. So their findings, if you are only considering them and not considering all that representative sample, I'm saying, if you're not considering those from the rural area or urban area or from one particular type of school, then it cannot be generalized. You cannot say, suppose if you take out the just only the slum area, the children from 10 to 15, and you observed in your study that they are their psychological, they are getting psychological problems because of the violence shown in the TV. Same this finding you cannot generalize with the all population, because the population again I'm telling you that the population maybe consists of students who are going to the municipal schools, those who are going to the different type of school, those maybe from the upper income parents background, lower income backgrounds and all. So these all different scenarios are there. On that, in considering these scenarios, you have to fit your sample so that whatever findings you are going to get, that has to be means it should be generalized to the population. So this is the problem, means if you are lacking or if you are problematic at the initial phase only, when you will carry out entire your thesis or PhD data collection, when you will go to the findings, that time you will come to know ki what was the problem with my sampling. So first you should find out what is the proper target population of your study. Okay, so there are so many terminologies are used in the sampling, that is what is content, what is unit, what is extent, what is time. Content is a particular characteristics that the members of the population have in common. Okay, so again, the elements that I just mentioned, that whether they are from which background, a rural or urban or a town area, what are their economical conditions, what are their parents' educational status, okay, income, etc., etc. So the characteristics you have to bring out from your population, and then you have to use as a parameter in your sampling. Okay, then extent means what is the geographical area that you are going to cover, whether you are considering one particular town, rural, one particular urban metro area, or a particular state of that particular country. Okay, so or a time zone is also important in case of framing your sample. Okay, so the period during which a unit must possess the appropriate characteristics to qualify the sample. Okay, so time in the sense, suppose you are considering this study, that what are the timings means in this particular period that you are going to collect the data, like you are collecting your data in 2009-10. So in that particular scenario, what was the situation and how it is going to applicable to your sampling. So this is these are the some terminologies that I wanted to discuss, and then let me share my PPT, and then we'll have some visuals. Okay, everyone is able to see my PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Okay, so here again, your research question is depending on the geographical terms and sectoral terms. Geographical terms, again, I said municipal, locality, district, and state or a country wise. And the sectoral terms means from which background your population is belonging to. Means they are manufacturer, they are farmer, they are students, they are teachers, etc. See here, this particular slide will explain you very well how the sample is belonging to the population. So which particular this diagram is correct? म्हणजे ह्यामधली कोणती डायग्राम तुमच्या दृष्टिकोनातून करेक्ट आहे? पहिली, sample within the population. Okay, this. Second is this, and third is this. This is obviously this particular circle is outside this population, which is definitely not suitable if you consider sampling. This is also not possible, but this particular sample is also not possible. Okay, so the correct one is this middle one. You have to take sample from your population only. Okay, so basically sampling is done because we have to save our time, money, and a workload. Simply it is not possible to find out and reach to each and every person or a sector of your study. Example, polling or political parties and votings and their behavior. So if you're going to study this, then you have to reach to the entire population, which is simply not possible. Through census, you may get a data, but to reach the population is simply not possible. So you have to have some sampling so that you get accuracy. Accurate results you can be calculated mathematically. So again, as a definition, a complete set of elements or a persons or objects that possess some common characteristics defined by the sampling criteria established by the researcher. See, again here it is mentioned that researcher is a very important person who plays an important role, because he is only going to define what is the population, what is his study, and what are the elements he wants to study in his population. So researcher will decide what are the common characteristics. So common characteristics may be like parameters, just now I mentioned. So composed of two groups, that is a target population and accessible population. As I said, if I'm going to study what are the reading habits of college students in India, then target population is entire college students which are taken admission in every college of every city or every state of India, which is called as target population. But what is accessible to the researcher? Not researcher will not able to reach to the all or every students of the college which is there in India. So again, researcher has to think about the capacities what he has. See, we are the PhD students, we are spending our money from our pocket and we are doing this research. Okay, so for us, it may not be feasible, it may not be possible. But if it is a funded research, if it research empowered by government or some NGOs, and if it is funded very well, then it may be possible. The task force may be involved in doing a study considering entire population, but for a researcher or PhD student may not be possible to reach the entire population. So the target population, that is universe, is an entire group of people or objects to which the researcher wishes to generalize the study findings. So whatever I have studied, considering my population, that I have to generalize to the study findings. I mean, it should match. Suppose I have some assumptions that the students from the low income group with the uneducated parents background have less tendency of. To prove this my assumptions, I have to select some sample which should have these characteristics, these parameters. Then it is possible. Otherwise, you cannot generalize the statement and then you cannot jump on to your finding. Because if you do not take the students with the those low income groups and a low educated parents background, then your assumptions will not be proved. So this you have to, researchers has to keep this in mind again and again. इथे थोडेसे एक्झाम्पल्स आहेत ते मी तुम्हाला दाखवते की इन्फॉर्मेशन, आणि ते आपण सॅम्पलिंगच्या दृष्टिकोनातून हळूहळू पुढे पुढे बघत जाऊया. म्हणजे आता आपण पॉप्युलेशन म्हणजे काय, तर ऑल लॉयर्स इन इंडिया, ओके, ऑल डॉक्टर्स इन इंडिया, all marginalized students in India, all transgenders in India. You just name it and you just say it, that this is the population. Again, I'm telling you that population is different for every researchers depending on their topic. So here the population may be the every and entire element in that particular scenario. Okay. See, out of this population, which is accessible to the researcher, imagine that information needs of all lawyers affiliated to Mumbai High Court. This is the accessible population for me because I am residing in the Mumbai and I can reach to the Mumbai High Court lawyers, since Mumbai is a metro city. It has a lot of lawyers than other cities, comparing with the other cities. So I feel that this is my sufficient sample, accessible sample with whom I can do my study. Similarly, and in our previous slide, what we have seen that doctors in India. So here, doctors in government hospitals of Mumbai. Okay, I'm just telling you the Mumbai as a geographical area which is accessible to me. You can consider instead of Mumbai, you can consider as a Pune, even Nanded or a Nagpur or something like that. So these are the doctors of government. See, again, the doctors, they are practicing independent, they are having their own clinics, they are going to they are fully appointed by government hospitals. something like that, or the doctors which are having private clinic as well as they are contributing to the government hospital, there are different parameters. Again, you have to define in your research methodology chapter along with your terminologies. Define the terminologies. What do you mean by government hospitals for you? So that you have to define in your research methodology. So you, in this way, you are telling a reviewer or a reader ki what exactly you mean to say by government hospital. You mean to say a municipal hospital or a state government funded hospital or a central government, something like this. So you have to define in your research methodology chapter what is accessible population and what is the exact population that you are considering and the parameters that you are considering for your PhD. Okay, then again, more or less students affiliated to the Mumbai University, then you can say the transgenders residing in Mumbai or a Pune or in a Delhi, or pregnant women reporting to the municipal hospitals. Okay, so again, this is what accessible to me. This is my problem. This is a study of my area and which I want to focus on, which is accessible for me. Okay, you can reach to them. Otherwise, if you're not able to reach them, then there is no point, because you may get you may turn out with the low response. Low response means you cannot generalize your findings with your your assumptions. Okay, so let's see what is sample, sampling and sampling frame. So again, the sample is a selected elements chosen for participation in the study. It may be people or a subjects or anything. Okay, then sampling is a process and sample frame is a list of all elements in the population from which the sample is drawn. There is a very less difference between a sample and the sampling frame. Sampling frame, you can say that lists that are available with you, or they are available with the respective bodies. For example, municipal hospitals. So you may get a list of municipal hospitals in the municipality itself. Okay, you may get the private clinics list maybe with the All India Medical Association or something like that. You may get the list of all teachers of LIS from the going to the directory of universities in India. So sampling frame is just a list from where your sample you can identify. So there is a little difference between the sample and a sampling frame, that just for the sampling sake, you will say that this is accessible to me from this particular accessible frame. Okay, sample could be extremely large if the population is a national or international in nature. That is true. That I gave just now. I cited an example with you. Then frame is needed so that everyone in the population is identified, so that they will have an equal opportunity for the selection as a subject, right? Why it is said equal opportunity, and why we are drawing the sample? This is for the sake of equal opportunity, and that we will achieve with the help of different techniques. But equal opportunity means what? Suppose if again the same example of slum, that if there are few children which are going to the schools, okay, and they are reading some good books and they are involved with a literary work, or they are good in the studies, so they may have less impact of violence which is shown in the TV. So these children should also be considered in your sampling, so that each and every one from that slum area will be represented and will get the opportunity to get selected, and so that your assumptions or whatever your findings can be generalized to all the sections of that particular area. So this is about the sampling and sampling frame. Randomization, each individual in the population has equal opportunity to be selected. Randomization, there are techniques of random sampling where we'll see that how everyone get a chance to get selected as a sample of your study, and that random sample should be representative. Means it should possess all the qualities or the parameters or the elements that you are looking for in your study. Again, it is mentioned that it has to be generalized. It should be accessible and it should be of low cost. there are two important types of sampling technique. One is probability sampling and second is non-probability sampling. The probability sampling is one of the sampling method which is widely known and widely used by most of the researchers irrespective of fields. Okay, if I use the probability sampling, the representativeness of population is increases. Okay, and it decreases the sampling error and sampling bias. Okay, so suppose I know that the students, the slum kids which are not going to the school with a low family income and parents, uneducated parents, they are most likely or they are most prone to a violent behavior. Okay, or they don't have a reading habits because of these all scenario. So if I'm just considering only those students and then I'm saying, okay, all slum students are not, they don't have any reading habit, they are violent and all, this particular generalized statements are wrong and it is biased because my sample was incorrect. Okay, I considered only those people which having this statements. Okay, let's see what are the different probability sampling techniques. There are 4 different types of sampling techniques. One is simple random sampling, second is stratified, cluster and systematic. Let's see simple. Okay, simple. Here this particular image will give you the idea that say for example these are 16 people. Okay, out of 60 people I have to select 5 for my study. So every one of this population has a equal opportunity to get selected. Okay, by this simple technique called simple random sample. So in this technique what we do, it is simply now because of the database softwares or the softwares statistical software allow us to generate a simple random sampling. Means in a simplified manner I will tell you this, that suppose there are 100 private libraries in Mumbai. I'm just giving you the just vague number, that is 100 private libraries are there in Mumbai. So what I'm going to do, that I'm in Excel sheet just start typing 1 to 100 against 1, write that first that private libraries number or a name or address, something like that, and just type all those 100 names of private libraries and just randomly select any member from that particular Excel sheet, and that becomes your sample. Okay, so you are not considering here this 100 private libraries are where exactly residing, whether they are in a Banduk or whether they are in a Dadar or they are in a Kulaba or something like that. You are just simply blindly listed these 100 libraries and you are just picking up only the 10. For example, 10 libraries you are picking up and then you are going to study those 10 libraries. So this is your sample. This is a simple way. There are tables available which help you to draw a simple random, and now with the help of software also you can generate the simple random sample from your entire population. Only the condition is that you must know your entire population of your study. Okay, so again depending on your topic and your size it will be decided. Okay, so here it is again saying N is produced by the scheme which ensures that each subgroup of the population of size N has an equal opportunity of being chosen at the sample as a sample. So each and every one of 100 libraries has an equal chance of getting selected. So now let's see, before stratified random sampling, let's see stratified simple random and then systematic sampling. Yes, and then we'll go to the other one. Okay, see what is the difference between the simple random and systematic random. Let's see that. Okay, and then we will see the example. here is the a random sampling process in which every kth means the element, which element you are considering, or the number of the population is selected for the sample after the random sample is determined. Again, we'll take the same example of 100 libraries. Say for example, out of 100 library, I want to study 20 libraries only. So 100 libraries divided by 20. So how much it will be? Hello? Chat box, you can write. It's very simple, isn't it? So if, for example, out of 100, you are only selecting 20, means out of 100, only 5, right? Out of 20, so 100 divided by 20 is equal to 5, right? So what you have to do in your sample is that every fifth library which is listed in the table, okay, in your Excel sheet will be your sample. So you can even consider first number, second number, third number, fourth number, or fifth number, but not the sixth. Okay, if you consider the sixth, then you will not get 20 numbers. Okay, so you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Suppose if you consider 5, then 10th, 15th, 20th, 25th, 30th, 35th, 40, and so on. Like this will be your 20 populations. So this is the difference between systematic random sampling and the simple random sampling. Simple random sampling, you just randomly select any number, that's it. Any 20 libraries from the 100, which you can do it with the cheats and all, or just simply let a software to generate number for you and pick up those libraries. But here in the systematic random sampling, you have to pick up using this formula every fifth, according to our if we consider 100, then every fifth library you have to consider from the list. So this is the systematic, and that was the simple random. Okay, so here I have given the example that 2000 subjects are there, and then we have to consider 50, then the 40 number comes, like 2000 divided by 50 is equal to 40. So every 40th number in the list will be considered for your sample. Okay, so 40th name or any 1 to 40th, any number you can choose, and you have to follow that sequence. Okay, if you choose 2, then 42 will be your next number. So accordingly you have to choose, and you have to make your sample. Okay, so now the third type is stratified, which is very commonly used because of its characteristics. Okay, what is a characteristic? Means it allows you to divide your sample or look for some parameters in your sample. Okay, for example, these are the 100 libraries. Fine, random or a systematic random sampling is fine, no problem. But suppose if I'm trying to study the reading habits of college students. So suppose if I'm going to say reading habits of college students, then in this case there might be the students, male student, female student, whether I have to take first year student, second year or third year student, or I have to take the students which are engineering background, which are BA, BCom, something like that, or if I'm, or maybe according to their status also. Okay, so these are all different parameters that you can consider while framing your sampling size. Okay, so this particular stratified random sampling is very much useful in this particular scenario. Okay, so that you will have their representativeness, that particular term which is really important in case of drawing sample, is fulfilled here in this stratified random sampling. Okay, so each and everyone get the opportunity to get selected in this way. For example, suppose we in one particular school there are in one particular class there are 60 boys and 40 girls. Okay, and suppose if I'm using the random sample method or a systematic random sample, then it may be possible that I may get more males or more boys than the girls, because I'm just using simple and the systematic random sampling. Here I am not considered only ki there are males, there are females in the particular group. Okay, so in this particular case, it is always recommended that you should use the stratified random sampling. Okay, here is one of the study, one of my master's degree dissertation student had done one study on the transgender and their information seeking. So, for example, there are 600 trans women and there are 400 trans men as a member of the community. One way to get stratified random sample is that 30, if I have to take a 30, then there has to be 18 trans women, correct? And 12 trans men according to their number available. Okay, so you have to again give the weightage to the number which you are looking for under the various parameters. So this is really one of the commonly used method of random sampling. See here again I have shown you pictorially that 3 are selected from here. See, these are 8. Okay, 8 women and 8 men. So 3 and 3. Suppose if these males are more or less, accordingly you have to do your calculation and use for your study. Okay, there are again 2 types of stratified sampling methods, that are proportional and disproportional. Means the sample proportions are made to be the same as the population proportion on the stratified variables, and disappropriate means it may not be feasible or may not be possible every time to have the proportionate stratified sampling. It may be because the population may not be known, that much population may not be known or may not be accessible to you. Okay, so the systematic random sampling, this I have covered. So here systematic random sampling, see, 3, third, and third. Okay, so every 2 numbers are skipped. So earlier example was given that every third person from the list should to be chosen. So what happened in this particular scenario? 3 men and only 2 women are selected. So this has a little bit of fault because it is not completely representative sampling method. Okay, here is one type of probability sampling, that is cluster random sampling. Okay, so cluster means what? You have to make the subsets or sets or subsets of your sample. Okay, and then you have to choose accordingly. For example, here I have given an example that northeast region of India. Suppose if I have to study about northeast region of India. Okay, so out of northeast regions of India, I have chosen only 3. Means clusters means sets, subsets you are doing, you are going to make, and then accordingly you will follow the sampling, draw the sample. Okay, so suppose if I'm considering 3 states out of northeast region of India, then among these 3 states I am going to consider 30 college librarians from each state. Okay, so this is step by step I have gone, and in this way this cluster sampling I have framed so that I am reachable, or I have access to these 30 college librarians which are there in this particular 3 states of Northeast India. Okay, let's see what is the difference between the stratification and clustering. Okay, basically stratification is for the parameters if you have if you're looking for in your sample, like gender, ethnic group, ages, background, etc., etc. And clustering is basically done for the geographical area. Okay, if your population, you want to do the comparables findings, or you want to establish the results, or you have some assumptions that rural students are lacking with opportunities than the urban area. So in this case, you can have a cluster sampling. Again, in that you can use a stratified random sampling also. Okay. Again, in stratification, less error you can find, but in case of clustering, more errors can be found, because your major parameter here is the geographical area. You are not considering the other factors that may influence your sample. Okay. Stratification, obviously it is a more expensive, because you must know your population, your sample, with all those fixed parameters that are there in your mind that you are going to study in your research. Okay, so you must know. So say for example, college may give you the list of the students. Okay, these are the students which are enrolled in the first year, second year and third year, but with the maybe gender like male and female, but apart from this, no other information may be displayed or disclosed by the college or university authority, maybe because of the confidentiality. Say for example, if I want to know from which ethnic group they are belonging to, because that is one of my parameter in my study. So you have to find out this by different ways, so that you can have a proper stratification or a stratified random sample in your study. So that is why it is more expensive, time consuming and laborious job. Okay, and in case of clustering, definitely it is a very easy method, cheap way of drawing the sample. Okay, let's see the cluster. Okay, if your main aim of your research study is to compare the groups. Okay, suppose comparing like I will say I have some examples. Okay, obesity is a problem in the children which are going to the international board because of the less physical activity. Okay, suppose you want to compare between the various schools, various boards of the schools, so it may be possible that you can use the cluster sampling. You can have the geographical areas, particular geographical areas. In that particular geographic areas, those international board schools are residing. So those geographical areas you can consider, and then you can go ahead with your cluster sampling, because my primary aim is to compare the results. Okay, I'm comparing whether the obesity is observed in the international schools or the ICSE board schools. Okay, so using the stratified rambling sampling may reduce the sampling error, yes, because here you are applying all the parameters. But in case of clustering, you have only one parameter, that is called as geographical area or the groups based on the locality. Again, when to use a cluster sampling, again, a fixed cost is associated with each data collection. Again, if it is a funded project, definitely huge amount of money will be funded or received by the researchers. Then you can go ahead with your lot of sample, cluster-based sampler. But for researchers, PhD researchers like us, it may not be feasible, may not be possible. There is a different other type of sampling is a non-probability sampling. This sampling doesn't have a sampling frame. It doesn't require every element of the population to get represented in your sample. You may not apply sampling parameters or the sets or the elements which you are looking for in your study. That may not be applicable. It doesn't involve random select, non-random. It is non-random selection. So each and everyone will get the opportunity. There is no chance that each and everyone will get the opportunity. So simply this is not possible. Okay, it may produce a biased sample because the people you are studying maybe have maybe come with the biases or the prejudice in their mind. For example, if I'm going to study the spending nature of people who are coming to the McDonald's. Okay, so my sample, it's a non-probability sample. I'm just sitting in the McDonald's and I'm just in my fixed period of time. For example, suppose I'm visiting McDonald's from 5 to 6 in the evening. I'm just sitting there and whoever is coming in the McDonald's and I'm studying them. Okay, I have some research scenario in my mind and I'm just visiting them and I'm getting my data. So this is again maybe the biased that maybe the college crowd may come more in this particular time, 5 to 6, or maybe if it is in the afternoon, maybe college crowd will be there. And if late night, the office goers will be there in the McDonald's, to whom I will be collecting the data. So the data which I have collected, whoever was there in the McDonald's, say for example, only the college students were there, I cannot generalize my statement with all the members or all the people who are visiting the McDonald's. Okay, so again, it is biased one and restrict the generalization. There are again 4 types of non-probability sampling. Most of the people do this convenience sampling, okay, which is readily available people, objects, or a study. For example, many of you have attended refresher course orientation program. When I attended my refresher course last time in 2013, I received almost 10 to 12 questionnaires from my friends who participated in the refresher course. So they were collecting a data about their small research topic. So this is a convenience sampling. They are just, we are meeting at one particular place and they are collecting the data. So to save the time, money, energy, everything. Okay, so at the time of meeting, demos, training and conferences, reading rooms of the libraries, the data can be collected with a very very easily. The data can be conveniently collected. So the quota sampling. A quota means what? I have a fixed group or subgroup in my mind that I am going to study only the, say for example, I have to study only 100 people. Okay, 50 people who have come to my library, 50 males and 50 males. Suppose I am sitting at 10 o'clock. 50 people, male and 50 females, whoever is coming at 10 o'clock to till I get 50. Okay, I am going to study. So this is my quota. Means it is little bit similar to the stratified, but does not involve the random selection. See the difference is here, stratified and a quota. The parameters I have applied. I am just going to study gender wise, that is male and a female. But again, I am not deciding my sample by using the random selection. Means suppose you have to study reading habits of readers who are sitting in the reading room. Okay, so if I have to use a sample random method, then I have to find out from the list of the libraries that who are the members of the library, and from the members I have to find out simple stratify or a systematic way the numbers, and then whoever comes in the reading room of that particular number or name, then I have to go and distribute my questionnaire and collect the data. But I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm just simply considering only the 50 males who have come to the library and 50 females who have come to the library, and I'm collecting my data, and that's it. And my data is collection is over. So this is called as quota. So it is different than the stratified, as it does not involve the random selection. I hope you understood what I said just now, how it is different. Okay, the purposive sample is the judgmental or expert choice sampling. For example, here I have given the topic. like teachers of Mumbai and SNDT Women's University who have won Best Teachers Award by Government of Maharashtra. I am going to study only those teachers who have received the Best Teachers Award by Government of Maharashtra. So my sample is very less, okay, and known to me, and I don't need to do the randomization here. Okay, so I can directly go for this purposive sample and I get the my data. Similarly, we can do the study like the Nobel Prize winners of till today, or you may have Nobel Prize winners from the beginning till today, or in one particular subject. Okay, and their data, or suppose if you are studying those people, then considering parameter, you can just simply the list is available who have received the Best Teachers Award or the Nobel Prize winners, and you can approach them and you can start collecting your data. So this is purposive, very special, unique, very rarely used sampling technique. Snowball technique is very, very, very tricky and very important also, because here the questions or the data which may not be available in public or may not be accessible, people may not be accessible. Here I have given the example like homeless people or a drug use in school. Nobody, no school will give you the list of student who does smoking, or because of this is confidentiality. Okay, so snowball means what? Suppose someone, you come to know there is a complaint about one student who does a smoking in the school. So the researcher can approach that boy or that girl, and then can discover that yes, there are many more in the schools who do smoking. So that person will give you 2 more names. Okay, suppose you convince that person that my study is about psychological behavior or psychology of or a mentality of the smokers, school children, especially school children, and that boy or a girl may give you 2-3 names. So you approach to those people, and again that particular boy or girl will give you 2-3 friends name. So like that snowball means you keep on increasing the sample for your study. Okay, so for example, transgender, one of my student, I did a study on this transgender, that we were studying the transgender which are literate, which are not illiterate. Our study, our main parameter was which are at least done their 5th or 7th standard. Okay, so there are many transgender you will able to see, or you happen to see at the corner or the traffic junction or in the railways or the public places, but you may not know who are literate or who is illiterate. So you can start asking transgender people whether do you know, or is there any list available, or is there any community which can help us to find out which are literate transgender people. Okay, so they may give you, some NGO may give you information. So like this you keep on increasing your sample, you just collect the sample for your study. So this is also one way of generating sample. Okay, sample size, there are rules: as large as possible. If large is the sample, your errors will be less. Okay, and large is the sample, representative it will be. Okay, so suppose if you are considering all the parameters and you are drawing a sample according to your parameters, your geographical dimensions, whatever it is, you are covering all the people, then you can generalize and you can proudly say that your sample is representative sample. Okay, if you have a small sample, then definitely the representativeness may not be there, again depending on the topic of study. Okay, please keep in mind. So you cannot assume that my sample size is less means my I will have more sampling error and my representativeness will not be there. it is not true. It is again and again I'm telling you, it depending on your topic, what topic you are studying, what are the things you are looking into your particular research study. Okay, so let's have a quick review that what are the stages of sampling. First, you find out population, what is the sampling frame, what lists or what all things which are available in case of that particular population. Okay, and then design the sampling considering the parameters, follow the procedure, and then come out with some sample size, and then draw a particular size, and then keep on doing your study. So this is all about my presentation, and these are the references which I have used for my PPT. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I have 2-3 quiz type questions I can ask you, so that I can understand how much you have gained through this particular session. Thank you. Anything else you want to know, or can I have 2-3 questions? I can show you all that quiz on the screen.
Ma'am, you go with your question first, and then we have some questions in chat box, and also there are some raise hands, so they want to talk with you, ma'am. So first you will go ahead with your quiz. Afterwards, we will take the questions one by one.
So which of the following is not an example of probability sampling? Simple, cluster, convenience, and stratified. Okay, which is not the example of probability sampling? Simple, cluster, convenience, and stratified.
Actually, ma'am, I unmuted all the participants actually.
Okay, in the chat box you can write.
Yeah, so they can write the chat box. Till the time, I think so, Mr. Prashant Kallori is with us. Can we get her question?
Okay, fine.
My wife. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Welcome, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. I firstly congratulations, Sawant madam. It's a nice session. For morning, I am attending this, and this is focusing particular and pinpointing on the sampling. I think she is illustrated. She is give the I think described very well. First, I congratulate them. So I have not a query or question. I have want additional information. The addition of she mentioned that in sampling process we can take the help of some of application of softwares. Which are that softwares? That's the first question. And which is the best for sampling for research scholars? And third is what are the pros and cons while we are taking the sampling through this automated applications and softwares. This is my questions, or I want this additional information. Please, madam.
Just a minute. I have phone call. I will just give it to my husband because there is one delivery has to come to our building.
No problem.
Okay, ma'am, no issue. Thank you, Kallori sir, for joining us.
But he has to stay at home. There is
No, sir. Yeah. I'm coming for the demand for some shopping for household. It's very urgent because today is my wife's birthday and I have to give someone something. So he wanted something, so I am coming here.
Very nice.
Give our best wishes, sir.
From all of
Okay,
us.
thank you.
From all of
Thank
us,
you, thank you.
Elias
Thank
Research
you,
Scholar Forum.
Okay, thank you. Actually, she is serving in emergency services. He's not enjoying holidays. His holiday. He's in the Corona lab. Yeah.
Anybody else? All participants are requested to type their questions in chat box so that Prita madam can read that questions and ask madam. We have very
Kulkarni sir, these sessions are very good. I have seen the topics which the resource persons are coming and deliver the lecture. Super topics and maybe practical topics for research scholars. I congratulations all your team. It's a great effort, and my best wishes to you, sir.
You are indirectly the part of our team because I have to attend. I have to say something on this. Kulkarni sir, our message is spread by Mr. Kalori sir also on various groups. So he is indirectly as our team member, sir.
Okay, thank you, madam. It's just a group where I can post all this.
Thanks.
I think madam is busy in taking delivery of product.
Actually, मी अनम्यूट करतीये खरं मॅडम, अनम्यूट होत नाहीये. हाँ, आलेत मॅडम.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, it was query regarding the software which can be used for the generating a sample. There is a website called Excel Stat. From there you can have sampling can be done. Okay, there are online softwares available. You have to pay and then you have to use their applications. Okay, they have a free trial. In the free trial you can find out but it will have a limitations that in your trial you may not use more parameters or more data you cannot input. Like in how Google Forms we can only create n number of questions, but in a surveymonkey.com if you take the pay option then you can generate number of questions, but if you take the free options then you can generate only 10 questions. Even in a SurveyMonkey software you can generate the sample also, and there is a procedure they have given, step by step you have to follow.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Mr. Jitu Sharma.
Okay.
Jitu Sharma, are you there, sir? Hello. Okay. Annapurne. Next question is from Annapurne.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
First of all, I welcome to all the firms, especially Dr. Kulkarni sir, who have made opportunity to us for getting the knowledge. My question is that suppose I want to study on the comparative factor, and at that time, which type of sampling technique can be used as a stratified sampling or quota sampling or simple random sampling? Which is the good one for that research?
Okay, it depending on what exactly is your population.
My
Means
population is suppose I have to study use of electronic resources by women user community affiliated to Shivaji University and SRT University.
Okay, so you are defined here as you are clear with your population, means what sampling frame. That means you can use, if you don't have more parameters then you can go for a cluster sampling, but I will suggest you that you go for the stratified random sampling, because it will give you more representativeness will be more.
Okay, madam, further questions is regarding to it. In those factor, having a different type of colleges, rural colleges, urban colleges. How can I differentiate within it?
You can depending on the number of colleges which are in a rural area and a urban area, you can have your sample. Na? Accordingly, you have to draw your sample. Means suppose in a rural area you have more colleges than the urban area, then your population, whatever sample you will draw, will be more as compared to the from the rural area than the urban area. This is the way you have to do.
Okay,
It
thank
will
you,
not
madam.
be representative. Suppose if this is important parameter for you to prove or to establish your results or generalize your hypothesis that rural students are using more library than the urban area, and you are taking equal sample, and you may be taking end up with taking less sample from the rural area and more from the urban area. So you cannot generalize your hypothesis on this basis. You have to take the stratified random sampling and representative sample.
Next question is from Sujata Marane.
Okay.
Ma'am, next question is from Sujata Marane. Ma'am, please ask your question.
Yeah, shall I speak? Shall I speak?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First of all, good morning to all, and very thank you for attending these sessions. Thanks to the whole team. I actually posted the question in chat box, but I'm not sure you received it or not. So I raised my hand. I want to ask that which method of sampling is more convenient and useful or beneficial?
Stratified random sampling. Don't say convenient. Okay, you must emphasize on getting a proper sample. Then just keep your convenience aside. You must use the proper sampling method. Otherwise, you will have a lot of problems in your findings chapter. You will not able to generalize your finding. So whatever painstaking work you have to do it at this particular level of drawing the sample. Then your all worries will be saved.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, next question is from Manju Dubey. Are you there, madam? Hello.
Hello.
Ha, Manju Dubey, madam, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Sarika ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, my question is that you just said in your presentation that descriptive research should go for more samples.
Yes.
For making it more authentic. What is the background behind that? Because in few of the descriptive study, which even my students have gone through, they are more based on the internet or the data from internet. So just please, can you elaborate with a few examples? Which are the specific areas where we should go for more samples or like that?
For example, one of my PhD student did one PhD on the High Court library system in India. Okay, her sample she wanted to take from only Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Karnataka, but her study was little bit of a descriptive oriented. Okay, so she wanted to study the legal information system or the facilities that are available to the high court judges and the bar and lawyers. Okay, so if she could have taken only the Maharashtra and Karnataka, it could not have been that could not have been totally representative sample, as their number is less, because in Maharashtra only one high court is there, right? Like that, only 3 high courts she is going to study, and they are established very early. Okay, right from the more than 100 years history they have, 150 years history they have. So their findings could not have been applicable to the entire high courts of India, whichever high courts and the adjacent barcode we have in our India. So in this scenario, then she went totally for a total population, because it was accessible because of the online emails and you can say that questionnaires that we generate online, so that they can fill up the questionnaire on and we can get data. So in this particular case, so it became too descriptive since she took the entire population as a there was no sampling at all. Entire population was considered, so that helped her in the descriptive analysis part.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. It was nicely explained. Thank you.
Ma'am, next question is from Jitu Sharma. Are you there, sir? Jitu Sharma. Hello.
Meanwhile, I will read one question. There is one question that ma'am gives some more snowball sampling cases where applicable in library particularly. This is also very interesting question, that snowball sampling is also possible in case of library scenario also. I can tell you that the facilities which are available for the visually impaired students, this will be like a snowball sampling, because all libraries may not have all the facilities. Okay, so someone may be knowing that this particular library provide this particular service to the visual. This is something very different. You should go and get it something more from them. So you go to that other library and find out from that library, and you get some references from the about other libraries also. So you keep on collecting the sample for your study. So this is these are the minute level topics which are not been discussed or disclosed to community or not available, which can be considered for the snowball sampling method.
Thank you, ma'am. I think so all questions are finished, ma'am.
One Narvade likes to ask. Namrata Narvade.
Ek minute, sir.
One question is there on chat, in chat box.
I unmute, sir.
Yes.
Narvade, please ask me a question. Hello.
Madam, her question is in chat box also.
Okay. So the question is, my research population is all government district library in Maharashtra state. So how to select the sample, or which method should be selected?
Stratified. If again that person is going to have some parameters in or set of elements in mind, then stratified random sampling can be used, because these colleges, libraries, what are the facilities they are providing, accordingly stratified random sampling can be used.
Okay.
Or simply simple random also, systematic random sampling is also possible. If that person is going to study only the library services, then no need of going for the stratified random sampling. Systematic random sampling can also be taken.
Okay. So ma'am, all questions are finished. So hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
So one question is there. I just unmute. Sir, bola sir.
मॅडम, पहिल्यांदा सावंत मॅडम आणि कुलकर्णी सरांचं मनापासून अभिनंदन की अशा पद्धतीचं वेबिनार या ठिकाणी अरेंज करून जे संशोधक आहेत त्यांना अतिशय चांगल्या पद्धतीची माहिती या पद्धतीच्या लेक्चर्स आम्हाला या ठिकाणी दिली, त्याबद्दल आपले धन्यवाद. माझा प्रश्न असा आहे मॅडम की बऱ्याच वेळेस संशोधक म्हणजे जनरल क्वेश्चन आहे, बऱ्याच वेळेस संशोधक हा रेस्पॉन्डंट कडे जात असतो आणि गेल्यानंतर बऱ्याच वेळेस ते मूड कसा आहे, ऍटिट्यूड कसा आहे समोरच्याचा, त्याच्यावरून रिस्पॉन्स या ठिकाणी येत असतो. तर जेव्हा अशा पद्धतीचा ऍटिट्यूड आणि मूड मध्ये उत्तर आपल्याला येतात तेव्हा क्रॉस चेकिंग कशा पद्धतीने करायचं जेव्हा की आपल्याला करेक्ट अशा पद्धतीचे उत्तर त्यांच्याकडून मिळते.
हॅलो.
हॅलो.
हा, म्हणजे तुम्हाला असं म्हणायचं की डेटा कलेक्शन करताना डेटा कलेक्शन किती चांगल्या प्रकारे केला पाहिजे, म्हणजे झाला पाहिजे, तुम्हाला रिस्पॉन्स आला पाहिजे.
येस 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 येस,
बरोबर ना?
हा येस येस येस. हा,
हे सर्वस्वी
अगदी बरोबर आहे मॅडम.
अवलंबून आहे की तुमचा ऍटिट्यूड कसा आहे, तुम्ही कशा पद्धतीने त्या व्यक्तीला विचारताय आणि त्या कशा पद्धतीने तुम्ही त्याला उत्तर देताय. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, तो म्हणाला की मॅडम माझ्याकडे वेळ नाहीये, तुम्ही उद्या या, मग तुम्ही त्याला उलट उत्तर देऊ शकत नाही, मला आत्ताच वेळ, मला आत्ताच दे, असं तुम्ही नाही म्हणू शकत आहे. तुम्हाला रिसर्च करायचं, तुम्हाला डेटा कलेक्शन करायचं आहे, तर तुम्ही पेशन्स हा एकमेव गोष्ट तुम्ही तुमच्या रिसर्च मध्ये शिकताय की तुम्हाला पेशन्स ठेवून तुम्हाला त्यांच्याकडून चांगल्या पद्धतीने तो डेटा घ्यायचा आहे. तर एकदा नाही म्हणेल, दुसऱ्यांदा म्हणेल, तिसऱ्यांदा म्हणेल की हा मॅडम देतो मी तुम्हाला, या वेळेला या. तर त्यावेळेला जाऊन व्यवस्थित, म्हणजे आपली भाषा कशी असली पाहिजे, अगदी सौम्यपणा भाषेमध्ये असला पाहिजे, जेणेकरून ती व्यक्ती तुम्हाला उत्स्फूर्तपणे माहिती द्यायला प्रयत्न करेल. तर ते पूर्ण तुमच्या ऍटिट्यूडवर अवलंबून आहे, तुम्ही डेटा कशा कलेक्ट करताय. तुमचा डेटा एका महिन्यात पण कलेक्ट होऊ शकतो आणि त्या डेटा कलेक्ट करायला 2 वर्ष पण लागू शकतात. आणि तुमचा पर्सनचा कन्व्हिनियन्स, टायमिंग, हे सगळं बघून तुम्हाला
त्याच्याशी रिलेटेड आणखीन एक प्रश्न आहे. हॅलो हॅलो. हॅलो मॅडम, त्याच्याशी रिलेटेड आणखीन एक प्रश्न आहे. हॅलो.
हा, विचारा सर.
हा मॅडम, बऱ्याच वेळेस असं होतं की हा विचारतो सर. बऱ्याच वेळेस असं होतं की निगेटिव्ह कडे लोक जात नाहीत. जर समजा मी एखाद्या लायब्ररीला विचारलं की तुमच्याकडे कलेक्शन डेव्हलपमेंट पॉलिसी रिटर्न फॉर्म मध्ये आहे का, तर ते ऑलवेज से येस. पण जर आपण तिकडे त्यांच्या वेबसाईटवर जाऊन पाहिलं किंवा क्रॉस चेकिंग केली तर तिकडे कलेक्शन डेव्हलपमेंट पॉलिसी याच्यामध्ये सापडत नाही. मग कोणत्या गोष्टी सोबत जायचं आपण?
मग त्यासाठी तुम्हाला तुमचा जो डेटा कलेक्शन मेथड जे आहे
जो आहे तो ऑलवेज त्यांचा पॉझिटिव्ह असतो बऱ्याच वेळेस की ऑलवेज से येस, दे नेव्हर से नो. अशा परिस्थितीमध्ये रिसर्चरनी काय करायचं?
त्यासाठी सगळ्यात एकमेव रामबाण उपाय आहे की सगळ्यात महत्वाचं, ते नाही म्हणू शकणार नाही तुम्हाला तो डेटा द्यायला, आणि तुम्ही क्वेश्चनर अशा प्रकारे डेव्हलप करायचा की त्यामध्ये तुम्हाला ते उत्तर मिळालं पाहिजे. कारण की तुम्हाला सगळ्यात जास्त वेळ तुमचं सॅम्पलिंग ठरवायला आणि क्वेश्चनर किंवा जो सर्वे किंवा इंटरव्ह्यू तुम्ही जो डिसाईड करताय त्याच्यात तुम्हाला काय प्रश्न लिहायचे आहेत ते अतिशय विचारपूर्वक करायचं, आणि जेणेकरून तुम्हाला ते उत्तर मिळेल. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, तुम्ही जर क्वेश्चनर मध्ये लिहिलं की तुम्ही तुमचं स्टेट सांगा, त्याच्याऐवजी तुम्ही लिस्ट द्या ना एक स्टेटची, पूर्ण इंडियन स्टेटची, त्याच्यामध्ये फक्त ते टिक मार्क करतील, म्हणजे इन्स्टेड ऑफ करा महाराष्ट्र हे टाईप करा, त्याच्याऐवजी तुम्ही ड्रॉपडाऊन मेनू दिला तर त्याच्यात महाराष्ट्र टिक केलं की ते लगेच इमिजिएटली येईल. तसंच, आणि तुम्ही मग क्वेश्चन्स असे विचारायचे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, पॉलिसी तुम्ही सांगितलं तर तुम्ही क्वेश्चन विचारताना असा प्रश्न विचारायचा की त्याचं उत्तर त्यांना त्याच्यामध्ये द्यायला लागेल की तुमच्या युनिव्हर्सिटीच्या वेबसाईट वरती तुम्ही कोणत्या प्रकारचा डेटा दिलेला आहे, लायब्ररीच्या संदर्भात लायब्ररीने कोणता डेटा दिलेला आहे, आणि मग त्यामध्ये तुम्ही त्याच्यात लिहायचं की पॉलिसी वगैरे वगैरे लिहिलंय का. मग त्याच्यावर ते पॉलिसी दिले असं करू शकत नाही, कारण की ते खोटं माहिती देतात. याचा अर्थ येस नो काय कोणी म्हणू शकतं, पण तुम्ही दिलंय का नाही इव्हिडन्स तुम्ही मागताय की कोणती माहिती तुमच्याकडे आहे, तर ते खूप विचारपूर्वक त्यांना ते नाही हो म्हणू शकत नाहीत, नाही म्हणायला पाहिजे. म्हणजे त्यांनी तसं म्हणलं, जर नसेल तर तो तुम्ही क्रॉस चेक पण करू शकता. आणि जर त्यांनी येस म्हणलं आणि पुढे नाही म्हणलं आणि पुढे येस म्हणलं, तर तुम्ही ते क्रॉस चेक करून त्यांना विचारू पण शकताय की मॅडम तुम्ही असं इथे लिहिलं होतं आणि तुम्ही असं लिहिलेलं आहे, तर तुम्ही मला प्लीज सांगा की वेबसाईट वरती नाहीये माहिती, तुमच्याकडे असेल तर तुम्ही द्या. अतिशय हंबल रिक्वेस्ट करून मागायचा डेटा, मगच तो तुम्हाला मिळतो. आता मी तुम्हाला सांगेन माझ्या PhD स्टुडंटच्या बाबतीत, तर लायब्ररियन्सनी सरळ सांगितलं, ते सगळे लायब्ररियन्स लॉयर्स असल्यामुळे त्यांनी सरळ सांगितलं आम्ही तुम्हाला डेटा देणार नाही, अजिबात देणार नाही. ते सगळे लॉयर्स आहेत, लायब्ररियन्स पण आहेत, लॉयर्स पण आहेत. मग काय केलं, तर त्यांची जी सुप्रीम ऑथॉरिटी आहे त्यांचं लेटर घेतलं आणि त्यांना दाखवलं की मला परमिशन मिळालेली आहे हा डेटा कलेक्शन करायला, तर तुम्ही मला हा डेटा द्या. तर त्यांनी एकदम विचारपूर्वक काळजीपूर्वक तो संपूर्ण डेटा विथ अटॅचमेंट दिला, कळलं. आणि तुमचं नेटवर्किंग पण तुम्ही तसं सांभाळलं पाहिजे की जे तुम्हाला मदत करतील की हा सर मला तुमचे लायब्ररियन देत नाहीयेत, तर त्यांचा सांगा तुम्ही जरा की तुमच्या कोणी ओळखीचं आहे का. तर मग ते सांगतात की अरे माझी रिसर्च स्टुडंट कलिग
हो
आहे,
सर, हो सर.
डेटा. तर तुम्ही तसं पण पद्धतीने तुम्ही डेटा, म्हणजे जेणेकरून आपल्याला चांगला डेटा मिळेल. आपण करायचा म्हणून PhD नाही करायची, आपण जी करायची ती आपल्याला चांगला डेटा मिळेल, त्याचे रिझल्ट आउटपुट चांगले निघतील आणि जेणेकरून आपलं रिसर्च डोमेन जो चांगला वाढेल, फ्लरिश होईल.
थँक्यू
थँक्यू मॅम. मॅडम, BOS चे चेअरमन नांदेड विद्यापीठ डॉक्टर कोलंबीकर सर यांना मी विनंती करते की प्लीज त्यांनी त्यांचं थोडं मनोगत इथे व्यक्त करावं.
मॅडम.
हॅलो.
मॅडम.
हा हॅलो सर, हॅलो बोला.
हा नमस्कार.
नमस्कार
मॅडम, मी प्राध्यापक अशोक कोलंबीकर, स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ मराठवाडा विद्यापीठ अंतर्गत BOS चेअरमन आहे आणि स्वातंत्र्य सैनिक सूर्यभानजी पवार महाविद्यालय पूर्णा, डिस्ट्रिक्ट परभणी येथे विभाग प्रमुख आहे. माझ्या महाविद्यालयामध्ये PG UG हा कोर्स चालतो लायब्ररी सायन्सचा. आणि मॅडम तुम्ही आजचं जे प्रेझेंटेशन दिलं की रिसर्च स्कॉलरच्या माध्यमातून मुलांना एक अतिशय खरं तर उपयुक्त माहिती आणि युजेबल इन्फॉर्मेशन ती मुलांना उपयोगात होईलच. पण याची गरजही होती. आतापर्यंतच्या सेशन मध्ये मुलांना प्रश्न पडत होता की डाटा कलेक्शन कसा करायचा आहे, कारण क्वेश्चनरी कशी तयार करायची. आजही काही बरेचसे विद्यार्थी संभ्रमात आहेत की प्रश्नावली तयार कशी करायची आणि किती प्रश्न घ्यायचे आणि ती प्रश्नावली दिल्यानंतर ती कशी मिळवायची, यामध्ये आणखीनही काही विद्यार्थी संभ्रमात आहेत. त्यांना बी प्रॅक्टिकल त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांना आवश्यक वाटते की आम्हाला प्रश्नावली भरून एक गुगल फॉर्मच्या माध्यमातून आज एक साधन निर्माण झालेलं आहे. मॅडम, मला एक तुम्हाला विचारायचं आहे की या लॉकडाऊनच्या काळामध्ये या सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांना आपण किंवा तुम्ही तुमच्याकडे असलेल्या आयडियाज ह्या प्रश्नावली कशा इझी मध्ये तयार करून यांची, मॅडम आमच्या विद्यापीठाच्या अंतर्गत हे 30 विद्यार्थी ऍट अ टाइम यांना आम्ही गाईड मिळवून दिलेली आहेत आणि यांचं रिसर्च वर्क नेमकं सुरू झालेलं आहे. एक प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट सबमिट झालेला आहे यांचा. आणि यांचे टॉपिक फायनल करत असताना देखील यांना थोड्याशा अडचणी होत्या, त्या आता क्लिअर झाल्या. परंतु यांचा पुढचा भाग म्हणून आता जस्ट रिव्ह्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर आणि डाटा कलेक्शन, त्यामध्ये महत्वाचा प्रश्न आहे तो म्हणजे प्रश्नावलीचा. आणि कोणाचा इंटरव्ह्यू असेल, सॅम्पलिंग टेक्निक असेल किंवा जे काही असेल, तर त्यांनी या परिस्थितीमध्ये, या लॉकडाऊनच्या काळाच्या परिस्थितीमध्ये नेमके कुठल्या अनुषंगाने त्यांनी प्रश्नावली तयार करून, मग गुगल फॉर्म आहे किंवा कुठलं आणखीन साधन आहे, त्या कुठल्या माध्यमातून त्यांनी ते केलं पाहिजे, तर आपण त्याच्यावर थोडंसं विश्लेषण करा.
जर आपण फ्री बघायला गेलं तर गुगल फॉर्म मध्ये आहेच आहे. आणि जर तुम्हाला फ्री आहे पण त्याच्यामध्ये ते लिमिटेशन्स खूप आहेत. म्हणजे जे वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे प्रश्न आपण जे तयार करतो ना क्वेश्चनेअर मध्ये, ते त्याच्यामध्ये फॅसिलिटी नाही आहे गुगल फॉर्म मध्ये. ते पेडवाले व्हर्जन जे आहेत, जे मी तुम्हाला आता सांगितलं सर्वे मंकी, जे मी खूप वर्ष झालं 10 वर्ष झालं वापरते, त्याच्यामध्ये पेड ऑप्शन तुम्ही घेतलं तर त्या पेड ऑप्शन्स मध्ये वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे प्रश्न तुम्हाला जनरेट करता येतात. म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल मी तुम्हाला सांगते की आपण म्हणतो फक्त मल्टिपल चॉईस किंवा सिंगल चॉईस किंवा मल्टिपल चेकबॉक्स, हे साधे प्रश्न आहेत. पण कधी कधी असं असतं की मॅट्रिक्स क्वेश्चन म्हणतात त्याला. म्हणजे इथे आपण सगळे ओपिनियन्स देतो आणि पुढे त्याचं लायकट स्केलनी आपण देतो, व्हेरी लाईकली, लाईकली, नॉट लाईकली, नो ओपिनियन, असं ज्या वेळेला आपण देतो त्यावेळेला गुगलमध्ये एवढं चांगल्या पद्धतीने करता येत नाही जेवढं ते पेडवाल्या व्हर्जन मध्ये करता येतं. जर कुणाची जर कपॅसिटी असेल तर ते करू शकतात, नाहीतर मग ते त्यांना जे फॅसिलिटी अवेलेबल आहेत गुगल फॉर्म मध्ये त्याच्यातूनच करावं लागेल. अजून एक आहे की गुगल फॉर्म फ्री असल्यामुळे तुम्हाला एक्सेल मध्ये तो डेटा मिळतो आणि जो तुम्ही SPSS वगैरे सॉफ्टवेअर मध्ये टाकून तुम्हाला ते अनालाइज करता येतं, पण तरी पण तिथे तुम्हाला खूप सॉर्टिंग वगैरे करता येतं. पण जर तुम्ही पेड व्हर्जन मध्ये गेला तर तुम्हाला तुमचा डेटा एक्सेल मध्ये इतका चांगल्या पद्धतीने मिळतो की त्याचं अनालिसिस करायला तुम्हाला 2 दिवस पण नाही लागणार. म्हणजे हा फरक आहे. जर तुम्ही अफोर्ड करू शकत असाल तर तुम्ही करू शकता ते पेड व्हर्जन. एका महिन्याला ते एका महिन्याचं माझ्या मते 2000 वगैरे ते घेतात. पूर्वी स्वस्त होतं ते, पण आता महाग आहे ते. 2000 रुपये
डॉलर मध्ये आहे.
2000 रुपये वगैरे घेतात. आपली फीस केवढी जास्त आहे PhD फी त्या मानाने. तर तुम्ही तो क्वेश्चन रन करू शकता 1, 2, 3 महिने, 4 महिने, जोपर्यंत तुमचा डेटा कलेक्शन होत नाही तोपर्यंत. मग तुम्ही तो क्लोज करायचा आणि तुमचा तो जो डेटा आहे तो डेटा एक्सेल मध्ये खूप चांगल्या प्रकारे अनालाइज करता येतो. म्हणजे एक्सेल किंवा कुठलंही तुम्ही सॉफ्टवेअर वापरा, त्यात एकदम चांगल्या पद्धतीने तो अनालाइज करता येतो. खूप वेगवेगळे ऑप्शन्स असतात, त्या ऑप्शन्स मधून आपल्याला डेटा, म्हणूनच मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं की क्वेश्चनियर सॅम्पलिंग आणि क्वेश्चनियर डेव्हलप करायला भयंकर मेहनत करायची. असं डेव्हलप करायचं की आपला एक पण पॉइंट सुटता कामा नये आणि भागच पडला पाहिजे.
हॅलो हॅलो.
हा सर.
हा, थँक्यू मॅडम. या संबंधित विद्यार्थ्यांनी या प्रश्नाच्या संदर्भात मॅडमनं जे उत्तर दिलेलं आहे ते खरंच पेडच्या माध्यमातून जर केलं तर ते निश्चितच डाटा कलेक्शन साठी इझी जाईल आणि ते सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांनी त्याचं अवलोकन करावं अशी अपेक्षा करतो.
थँक्यू सर. नांदेड विद्यापीठाचे गाईड डॉक्टर शिवाजी सोनटक्के सरांना मी विनंती करते की सर तुम्ही आपले व्ह्यूज इथे एक्सप्रेस करावे सर. हॅलो.
आवाज येतो का मला?
हो सर येतोय.
या ठिकाणी सर्वांचं मी स्वागत करेन. खरं तर कुलकर्णी सरांचं विशेष स्वागत करणं या ठिकाणी संयुक्तिक वाटतं. त्यांच्या माध्यमातून अतिशय उत्तम असा उपक्रम हा चालला आहे. रोजचे जर टॉपिक पाहिले तर बरेचशा कन्सेप्ट, आता जशा सावंत मॅडम बोलल्या, पाटील मॅडम असतील, बच्चेवार सर असतील किंवा अजून इमिनेंट पर्सनॅलिटीज या ठिकाणी त्यांचा अनुभव या ठिकाणी शेअर करत आहेत, वेगवेगळ्या टॉपिक वरती लेक्चर्स देत आहेत. तर एक लॅकुना असा वाटतो मला की ज्या नेट सेट झालेले कॅन्डिडेट्स असतात त्यांना रिसर्च मेथोडॉलॉजी बद्दल फारशी माहिती नसतं. त्यात त्यांचीही चूक नाही. जे ऑलरेडी MPhil वगैरे करून आलेले असतात त्यांच्या बऱ्याचशा कन्सेप्ट क्लिअर असतात, पण ती जी उणीव आहे, तो लॅकुना आहे, या फोरमच्या माध्यमातून पूर्ण होत आहे. त्यामुळे मनस्वी याचा मला अभिमान वाटतो, आनंद होत आहे. तर या प्रसंगी जास्त न बोलता मी एवढीच अपेक्षा करेन की असेच वेगवेगळे विषय आणि इमिनंट पर्सनॅलिटीज आपण या ठिकाणी उपलब्ध करून द्यावेत, जेणेकरून सर्व रिसर्च स्कॉलर्सचे कॉन्सेप्ट क्लिअर होतील आणि त्यांचा रिसर्च वर्क हा सुरळीतपणे चालू होईल. थँक्यू, धन्यवाद ऑल ऑफ. ठीक आहे मॅडम. हॅलो.
प्रीतम मॅडम तुमचा आवाज येत नाहीये.
हॅलो. एम आय ऑडिएबल? हॅलो.
येस मॅडम, येस.
हा, दुर्गा रायकर मॅडम तुमचा प्रश्न विचारा.
गुड मॉर्निंग मॅडम. सारिका सावंत मॅडम, गुड मॉर्निंग. मॅडम ना अनम्यूट करा प्रीतम मॅडम.
केलंय. मॅडम तुम्ही तिकडूनच अनम्यूट केलंय मॅडमने. मी अनम्यूट केलंय. हॅलो.
हा मॅडम अनम्यूट नाही झालेल्या.
इथून केलंय मी. हा झालेत मॅडम, आलेत. बोला मॅडम.
हा मॅडम, माझा क्वेश्चन असा होता की आम्ही आता नुकतेच ऍडमिशन झालेले आहेत आमचे PhD साठी. आम्हाला जास्त असं सांगता येणार नाही की आम्ही खूप सगळ्या गोष्टीमध्ये परिपूर्ण आहोत. तरी पण जी काही गोष्टी आपल्याला माहिती नाहीत त्या विचारणं या ठिकाणी मला असं वाटतं विचारलं पाहिजे. तर मला असं विचारायचं होतं की जर आपलं पॉप्युलेशन, आपण जो टॉपिक सिलेक्ट केलाय त्याच्यामध्ये आपलं पॉप्युलेशन जर कमी आहे, सपोज आता माझ्या टॉपिक मध्ये कॉलेज लायब्ररीज आहेत आणि कॉलेज लायब्ररीमध्ये मी 3 डिस्ट्रिक्टच्या कॉलेज लायब्ररीचा स्टडी करते, तर त्यामध्ये टोटल कॉलेज लायब्ररीज 75 आहेत. तर मी सगळेचे सगळं पॉप्युलेशन जसंच्या तसं सिलेक्ट केलं पाहिजे की त्यामध्ये सॅम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स वापरून त्याच्यात अजून छोटं पॉप्युलेशन काय ते सॅम्पल करून मग ते वापरलं पाहिजे आणि मग माझा सर्वे केला पाहिजे?
नाही, तुम्ही सगळंच घ्यायला पाहिजे कारण 75 आहे ना. मग तुम्ही फाइंडिंग्स मध्ये लिहिणार काय? तुमचं जितकं कमी पॉप्युलेशन घ्याल ना, सॅम्पलिंग घ्याल, तेवढं तुम्हाला तुमचं फाइंडिंग्स कमी असणार आहे. म्हणजे फाइंडिंग्स, इलॅबोरेटिव्ह फाइंडिंग्स किंवा जनरलाइज जर तुम्हाला करायचं असेल तर तुम्ही सगळं घ्यायला हरकत नाही.
ओके 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 मॅडम, थँक्यू.
हॅलो
हॅलो हॅलो
दुर्गा मॅडम.
हा, थँक्यू मॅडम.
ओके,
एक माझा थोडा क्वेश्चन होता.
बोला ना मॅडम.
नाही, तो क्वेश्चन होता तो विचारला, म्हटलं पुन्हा पुन्हा संधी भेटेल नाही भेटेल आताच विचार.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक आहे. कुलकर्णी सरांना विनंती करते, सर 2 शब्द बोलावेत.
आणि माझा फोन नंबर कुलकर्णी सरांच्याकडे आहे.
ओके ओके.
त्यामुळे जर कुणाला माझ्याशी पर्सनली बोलायचं असेल तरी सुद्धा बोलू शकता, नो प्रॉब्लेम.
थँक्यू मॅम, थँक्यू. कुलकर्णी सर प्लीज.
यस. आता हा जो आपला सहावं पुष्प म्हणता येईल याला, अतिशय सुरेख, महत्वपूर्ण झालेलं आहे. मॅडमचं लेक्चर अतिशय अभ्यासपूर्ण होतं. काल मी मॅडमला फोन केला होता तर मॅडम त्या तयारी करत होत्या. म्हणजे त्या अशा आल्या नाहीत. काय होतं अनेक वेळा की व्याख्याते आणि विशेषतः प्राध्यापक जे असतात त्यांना अभ्यास असतो आणि ते सरळ लेक्चर द्यायला येतात, पण मॅडमने तसं नाही केलं. आपल्याशी बोलायचं म्हणून काल त्यांनी PPT तयार केल्या, त्याच्यावर अभ्यास केला आणि त्या आपल्याशी आल्या. एक उदाहरण म्हणून सांगतो. आमच्याकडे एक प्राध्यापिका होत्या, तर त्या सांगायच्या की मी नोट्स काढल्यानंतर नोट्स काढायच्या, लेक्चर घेतल्यानंतर मी नोट्स फाडून टाकते. मी म्हणलं असं का करता, कारण ते पुढच्या वर्षी उपयोगाला येतील ना तुम्हाला. तर त्या मॅडमनी मला असं सांगितलं की जेव्हा आपण नोट्स ठेवू तर पुढच्या वर्षी आपण अभ्यास करणार नाही, तर त्यामुळे त्या दिवशी नोट्स फाडून टाकायच्या आणि पुढच्या वर्षी शिकवताना पुन्हा अभ्यास करून शिकवायचा. अशा पद्धतीचं एक शिक्षकाचं जे मत असतं किंवा शिक्षक ज्या पद्धतीने शिकवत असतो तो बाणा मला सावंत मॅडमच्या याच्यामध्ये दिसला. मुलांना शिकवायचं किंवा प्राध्यापकांना, रिसर्च स्कॉलर्सना बोलायचं म्हणजे त्या तयारी करून काल आल्या आपल्याकडे. अतिशय विस्तारपूर्वक, अतिशय पिन पॉइंटेड आणि डेप्थ मध्ये आपल्याला त्यांनी सॅम्पलिंग टेक्निक समजून सांगितलेलं आहे. मी माझ्या वतीनं, माझ्या विद्यापीठाच्या वतीनं, तसेच आपल्या सगळ्याच्या वतीनं मी त्यांचे आभार इथे व्यक्त करतो. जरी फॉर्मल आभार प्रदर्शन नंतर होणार असलं तरी एक वैयक्तिकरित्या. त्याचबरोबर आजचे जे आपले मुख्य पाहुणे आहेत, डॉक्टर दीपक बच्चेवार सर, यांनी त्यांच्या वेळातला वेळ काढून ते आपल्यात उपस्थित झाले, त्यांनी आपल्याला मार्गदर्शन केलं, त्यांचे मी आभार मानतो. काही गोष्टी मी बोलणार आहे आज थोड्याशा. पार्टिसिपंट मध्ये जर पाहिलं तर मला आज एक पंजाबच्या पार्टिसिपंट दिसल्या. मला वाटतं अदर स्टेटचे काही पार्टिसिपंट्स आहेत आपल्याकडे, तर तोही अतिशय महत्वाचा मुद्दा आहे. त्याचबरोबर काही ज्या डेव्हलपमेंट झाल्यात, आज सर्वप्रथम मी आपल्या डॉक्टर हंबर्डे सरांचं इथं स्वागत करतो, कारण ते आपल्याला टेक्निकल टीम मध्ये आपले जॉईन झालेले आहेत. मरळ मॅडम, दुर्गा मॅडम ह्या आपल्यासोबत होत्याच, त्यांना आता ते हंबर्डे सर जॉईन झालेले आहेत. त्याच्यामुळे टेक्निकल भाग जो आहे तो आपल्याला सुकर होत आहे. आज तुमच्या लक्षात आला असेल की आपल्याला दररोज जो ब्रेक घ्यावा लागायचा 40 मिनिटानंतर, तो ब्रेक आता थांबलेला आहे. आपल्याला आता सरळ संवाद साधता येतो कुठल्याही विदाऊट एनी ब्रेक. त्याचबरोबर दुसरी एक गोष्ट महत्वाची ती म्हणजे आपण फेसबुक लाईव्ह आहोत. म्हणजे काल मी थोडासा प्रयत्न केला होता, बट दॅट वॉज मॅन्युअल. आज आपण ऑटोमॅटिकली फेसबुकवर लाईव्ह आहोत आणि तिथे सुद्धा मी जाऊन पाहिलं आता मधल्या काळामध्ये अनेक लोक फेसबुक लाईव्ह पाहत होते. त्याच्यामुळे दोन्ही मार्गाने आपण विद्यार्थ्यापर्यंत, रिसर्च स्टुडंट पर्यंत पोहोचत आहोत. एक अतिशय आनंदाची बातमी आहे. अनेक लोकांच्या खूप चांगल्या प्रतिक्रिया येत आहेत. फेसबुकवर असेल, व्हॉट्सअपवर असेल आणि विविध माध्यमातून अनेक जणांचे फोन्स मला येत आहेत, प्रीतम मॅडमला येत आहेत. तर सगळ्यांचे मी आभार मानतो. काही लोकांचे फोन घेता आले नाही किंवा व्हॉट्सअपला वेळेत उत्तर दिलं नाही तरी वेगळं काही मानू नका, कारण सध्या खूप बिझी शेड्यूल झालेलं आहे. म्हणजे आता आपल्या सेमिनार आजचं उद्याचं नियोजन करणे, त्याचबरोबर माझी विद्यापीठाची काही कामं आहेत, तिकडची दुसरी काही कॉन्फरन्सेस आहेत, यामुळं कदाचित शक्यतो मी सगळ्यांना उत्तर देतोच आहे, पण काही लोकांना जर उत्तर देऊ शकलो नाही तर कृपया काही वेगळं वाटून घेऊ नका. तर या अनुषंगानं अजून तुमच्या काही सूचना असतील तर आम्हाला वेळोवेळी करत चला. वेगवेगळ्या विषयावरची व्याख्यान आपण ठेवत आहोत. कोणी रिसोर्स पर्सन्स तुमच्या परिचयातले असतील चांगले की सर यांचं आपल्याला आवश्यक आहे, किंवा एखादा विषय की या विषयावर आपल्याला बोलायचं आहे, अशा पद्धतीचा विषय सुद्धा तुम्ही सुचवू शकता. मी अजून पुन्हा सांगतो, हा जो ग्रुप आहे हा सगळ्यात तुम्हा संशोधकाचा ग्रुप आहे. हा तुम्ही ग्रुप तयार केलेला आहे, तुम्ही हे सगळं चालवतात. मी निमित्त मात्र आहे, फक्त मार्गदर्शनापुरता माझा हेतू आहे किंवा बेस आहे. तर या अनुषंगानं आपल्याला सगळं चांगलं मिळावं आणि ह्या लॉकडाऊनच्या काळात जास्तीत जास्त ज्ञान तुमचं वाढावं, त्याचबरोबर तुमचं पीएचडीचं काम पुढे सरकावं, एक मोटिवेशन या दृष्टिकोनातून मी या कार्यक्रमाचं आपण एकंदरीत काम करतो. आज डॉक्टर काळे सर आपल्याला जॉईन झालेले आहेत आमच्या ज्ञानस्रोत केंद्रातले. तसे अनेक लोक आपल्याकडे जॉईन होत आहेत. त्याचबरोबर सर्व रिसर्च गाईड्स, विशेषतः आपले बीओसी चेअरमन डॉक्टर कोलंबेकर सर, त्यांचं ऍक्टिव्ह पार्टिसिपेशन आपल्या या ग्रुपमध्ये आहे. सोनटक्के सर आहेत, सुळसुळे मॅडम आहेत, डॉक्टर विक्रम गिरी आहेत, त्याचबरोबर डॉक्टर टिळके सर आहेत. या सगळ्यांचं आपल्याला सहकार्य मिळत आहे. त्यांचंही ऍक्टिव्ह पार्टिसिपेशन मी इथं अपेक्षित करतो. त्यांनी आमच्याशी दररोज संवाद साधावा किंवा एखादा विषय घेऊन बोलावा. रिसोर्स पर्सन म्हणून आला तर फार चांगलं आहे, नाही तसं एक 10 मिनिट संवाद साधायचा असेल तर तीही संधी आपण देऊ, जेणेकरून तुमचे मत, तुमचे विचार, तुमची जी संशोधनाबद्दलची पाहण्याचा दृष्टिकोन आहे या सगळ्याविषयी आपण अवगत होऊ आणि सगळ्यांचं यामध्ये सगळ्यांचं हित, सगळ्यांचं भलं, एकमेका सहाय्य करू, अवघे धरू सुपंत या दृष्टिकोनातून आपण पुढे जायचं आहे. मला माझ्याकडून सगळ्यांना शुभेच्छा. पुन्हा उद्या आपण एक नवीन विषय घेऊन एक नवीन व्याख्याला रिसोर्स पर्सन्स भेटणारच आहोत. तर मी सगळ्यांचे एकदा आभार मानतो. विशेषतः सावंत मॅडमचे खूप खूप आभार मानतो की त्यांनी आम्हाला वेळ दिला, अतिशय सुरेख असं व्याख्यान दिलं आणि विद्यार्थ्यांच्या प्रश्नांना त्यांना समाधानकारक उत्तर दिलं. तर सगळ्यांचे आभार मानतो आणि फॉर्मल आभार प्रदर्शनासाठी दुर्गा मॅडमना मी विनंती करतो.
धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद मॅडम. सर्वप्रथम मी या ठिकाणी आभार मानते आपले चीफ गेस्ट जे आहेत डॉक्टर दीपक बच्चेवार सर, असोसिएट डीन फॅकल्टी ऑफ इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी स्टडी, स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ, मराठवाडा युनिव्हर्सिटी, नांदेड. त्यांनी जे आपल्याला अमूल्य असं मार्गदर्शन केलं त्याबद्दल मी त्यांचे आभार मानते आणि त्यांनी जे आपले विचार आपल्या पुढे मांडले त्याच्याबद्दल मी त्यांचे आभार मानते. त्यानंतर मी आभार मानते आपल्या रिसोर्स पर्सनची डॉक्टर सारिका सावंत मॅडम. त्यांनी आपला अमूल्य वेळ काढून आपल्याला सॅम्पलिंग टेक्निक्सची माहिती आणि त्याची वेगवेगळी जे प्रकार आहेत ते आपल्याला इथे खूप ब्रीफली समजून सांगितले. त्यापुढे मी आभार मानते आपले सर्वांचे माननीय आणि प्रेरणास्थान असलेले डॉक्टर कुलकर्णी सर, जे आपले डायरेक्टर आहेत नॉलेज रिसोर्स सेंटर, स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ, मराठवाडा युनिव्हर्सिटी. त्याचप्रमाणे आपल्याला श्रोत्यांमध्ये लाभलेले असे आपले कोलंबकर सर, बीओएस चेअरमन, त्याचप्रमाणे डॉक्टर काळे सर, त्याचप्रमाणे आपले सर्व गाईड्स आणि आपला आजचा हा वेबिनार यशस्वी होण्यासाठी आणि ब्रेक फ्री होण्यासाठी ज्यांनी आपल्याला मदत केली असे डॉक्टर हंबर्डे सर यांचे मी या ठिकाणी आभार मानते. त्याचप्रमाणे या वेबिनारचे जे आयोजक आहेत ते प्रीतम मरम मॅडम, त्यांचे मी आभार मानते. त्याचप्रमाणे आपल्याला या वेबिनार मधून काहीतरी शिकायला मिळेल अशा आशेने या ठिकाणी सर्व जमलेल्या संशोधक विद्यार्थ्यांचे मी या ठिकाणी आभार मानते. आणि माननीय डॉक्टर कुलकर्णी सर यांच्या परवानगीने आपल्या लेक्चर सिरीज मधलं सेशन नंबर 6 या ठिकाणी पूर्ण होत आहे असे मी जाहीर करते. उद्या पुन्हा एकदा अशाच एका इन्फॉर्मेटिव्ह सेशन सोबत, सेशन नंबर 7 सोबत आपण पुन्हा भेटूयात. नमस्कार.
थँक्यू दुर्गा मॅडम. थँक्यू सारिका मॅडम. थँक्यू कुलकर्णी सर. ऑल गाइड्स, स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ मराठवाडा युनिव्हर्सिटी, सर्व रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स आणि सर्व पार्टिसिपंट्स यांचे पुन्हा एकदा धन्यवाद. तुम्ही सगळे इथे आलात. सेशन खूप छान झालं आणि सर्व रिसर्च स्कॉलरला माझी विनंती आहे की त्यांनी प्लीज, आपली ही सगळ्यांची टीम आहे, तर आपण अशाच या टीमने सगळ्या रिसोर्स पर्सन कडून आपल्याला रिसर्च साठी लागणारी माहिती नक्कीच गोळा करू आणि आम्ही एक उत्तम प्रकारचा PhD थिसिस या रिसोर्स पर्सन पुढे येत्या भावी काळामध्ये नक्कीच घेऊन येऊ. मॅडम थँक्यू. सगळ्यांची रजा घेते. उद्या पुन्हा भेटूया.
थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.